Guys, we finally have some confirmed details on the PlayStation 5 directly from Sony in an exclusive article from Wired magazine. We've been waiting for this for a long time. There's been a lot of rumors and stuff circulating about the PlayStation 5 and the next era of consoles coming, probably since I was in middle school back in 2014. Back around the time the PS4 launched, people were already speculating what the next PlayStation or whatever it would be would entail and things like that. We've heard all kinds of different wacky things. We've seen fake prototypes circulate that are just insane looking. Same thing with controllers. We've heard all kinds of crazy things about this thing, but today we finally have the first confirmed details on the PlayStation 5. I'm really excited for this. I'm excited for what I'm hearing. I think we're still going to get a pretty good console looking at what we're having now. And the real reason it seems like that this is happening, I do want to go ahead and say this before we start getting into the details. It looks like Sony is really starting to announce these details because they're not going to be in attendance for the major gaming event E3. We all know about E3. It's probably the biggest gaming event of the year. A whole bunch of stuff gets announced. All kinds of the biggest games trailers start dropping. We get details about upcoming consoles and release dates and stuff like that. It's huge, okay? In the gaming world, it's one of the biggest events of the year. But Sony will not be attending this, okay? Presumably, that way they can work a little bit more on their PlayStation 5 presentation, things like that. But Xbox is definitely going to be at E3, and they will probably be announcing details about their console at E3. So Sony, what it looks like what they're doing here is they're dropping some of these details before Xbox gets a chance to. That way, the kind of first initial wave of hype around the next generation of consoles can really, go into Sony's favor. I have to say, it's a really smart power move. Sony really stepped up to the plate, and there's some highlights here I think that we're all going to enjoy. So Sony today announced the first details on the next generation PlayStation system, the PS5. So apparently that is the confirmed name. I wouldn't have expected anything different. I mean, PlayStation 2, PS3, PS4, now PS5, but the new details were announced in an exclusive article from Wired magazine. The console is not expected in 2019, so that's been a thing that we've been hearing a lot of rumors about as well. We pretty much have been hearing a bunch of shock rumors circulate the internet since like 2015. Oh, the new PlayStation is coming out this year. Get ready, they're about to announce it. And, we've all kind of gotten conditioned to just tune that shit out. But this is coming from Sony, so we won't be seeing the new console come this year, which means that we will be seeing at least another year of PlayStation 4's actual life cycle and probably a few more years of support after that. This doesn't confirm necessarily when the PlayStation 5 will be out. It's definitely possible that it comes out in 2020. Honestly, I think it's probable, especially if they're starting to give details this year. It wouldn't make sense really for them to hype up the next PlayStation for like 4 or 5 years and then, all this hype dies down over time because people are getting impatient. But personally, I would say 2020, 2021 at the very latest. So that's my personal take on this whole thing. But it apparently will not be here in 2019, so at least you know that one for sure. Here is the highlights of the new features of the next generation PlayStation, presumably called PlayStation 5. So I guess it's not confirmed, but I mean, let's be honest here. And this is a huge one right off the top, okay? This has been a thing that PlayStation players have been asking for forever. It's honestly one of the better features of the Xbox One that, really leads me to play it anyway. Backwards compatibility. Okay, so the PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible with PS4 games. They have not confirmed any details on PS3, PS2, PS1 games. Personally, I think that if you're going to do backwards compatibility and you really want to beat Microsoft and you want to beat Nintendo, both of which have way better, nostalgia factors to their quote-unquote backwards compatibility. On Nintendo, a lot of them are just, either getting remastered or you've bought them through Virtual Console and things like that. But even then, it's worked out extremely well for that console. Xbox straight up has 360 and regular Xbox backwards compatibility, so you can literally just play basically any Xbox game that gets ported over for backwards compatibility. You can rebuy it through the store, or you can just put the disc into the machine and it'll read it. So I think if Sony really wants to upgrade this backwards compatibility, bring a really big feature to the PS5 that I think will really just kind of blow the competition out of the water, you need to expand upon this. We need PS1, PS2, and PS3 backwards compatibility. I'm not talking PS Now. That it doesn't cut it. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. If you bring games like Black Ops 2, MW2's multiplayer and stuff like that to the PS5, you're going to revive those games. You're going to have people buying games from consoles that are at least a decade old. Personally, I think that's a win regardless. It will still also use physical media, so from what I understand, this basically means that there will be a disc drive on your PlayStation 5. The future of gaming is most likely digital downloads, digital downloading and stuff like that. Single-handedly is one of the reasons that places like GameStop are going under, because in reality, it's much more convenient. You know, you still have to download the game even if you have a physical disc anyway, so why not just stay at home, you know, buy the game digitally. You don't have to drive to the store and get harassed by GameStop employees and deal with other people. You get the same game, maybe even more, because you can get a special edition of the game that likely is possibly sold out at your local store or something like that. You pay basically the same price, and on top of that, you can instantly start downloading it, or you can pre-download it and play it exactly when the game comes out. So that's a pretty big thing, but a lot of people still use physical media, myself included. I do buy most of my games digitally. However, with games like Borderlands 3, I went and pre-ordered a physical edition of that game because the games that I truly think I'm going to love the most, I always want that case, I want the disc, things like that. Now we're starting to get into the actual tech specs of the new console here. There will be an 8-core AMD processor in this thing, so it's definitely going to have an upgraded processor from the PS4, which is a good thing. However, you know, these things outdate themselves very quickly, especially since consoles generally will last, you know, 7-8 years in a generation. Consoles have kind of, I guess, started to negate that problem a little bit by kind of bringing out like the PS4 Pro, Xbox One S and X, things like that, just kind of upgraded versions of the console over time, but even then, it really doesn't still match up with PC. I mean, in honesty, people playing on console don't care about matching up with PC. I have a PC and still play console as well, so. But it definitely will have an upgraded processor, so it will basically be a more powerful system all around. It's going to be rocking a Radeon Navi GPU, which supports up to 8K resolutions, which obviously is quite an improvement even over the PS4 Pro. 8K resolution isn't even close to the norm right now. We're just now getting to that point where 4K can be considered the norm of like televisions, new monitors, and things like that, so even then, the only real 4K gaming is if you get the upgraded versions of the current consoles like the Pro and things like that. So this GPU is definitely a big step up from the current console, and honestly, that's a good thing to hear, is that they're actually making strides to improve the technology, because obviously, I mean, you don't want a console that's going to be outdated in 6 months, but I mean, that's just part of the problem with console. Now, this is one that I absolutely adore. This is a feature that I'm really excited to see. Solid-state drives are going to be making an introduction with the PlayStation 5. Now, if you don't know what a solid-state drive is, you have, you know, your hard disk drives. That's basically what all consoles have been using. But then you have SSDs, or solid-state drives. Now, they read a lot faster. They completely reduce your load times and stuff in video games. In a lot of ways, they're way better than the HDD. So, I mean, pretty good improvement. I'm assuming that when it says and more storage, that means that not only will we be seeing, you know, literally more data storage, but I'm hoping they mean that means there will be an SSD and an HDD. That way you can store even more data and you can load things from the SSD that are saved on there, of course. They did note that Spider-Man, which is a PlayStation exclusive game, the load times from 15 seconds, which I guess is like the average or whatever on PlayStation 4, those were knocked down to not 10, not 5, not 3, not 2, not even 1 second. The load times for Spider-Man were knocked from 15 seconds to 0.8 seconds. That is pretty impressive. I don't know if this is like a common problem with the current PlayStation. I have the oldest PlayStation, right? The load times, even to go, like when you're playing Black Ops 4 or anything, to just go into the regular menu screen is atrocious. When you try to take a screenshot, it can take upwards of 45 seconds for the thing to even load up and let you hit triangle, which in multiplayer games like that is obviously it's a fucking chore. So I'm glad to see that hopefully this thing will run a lot faster and will be a lot more stable than the PlayStation 4. But another big feature, this was something that was really hyped up with the latest GTX graphics cards, ray tracing. That will be on the PlayStation 5, folks. Ray tracing allows better loading and scripting of the environments for the platform. You can run tests to see if the players can hear certain audio sources or if enemies can hear players' footsteps. It's really useful for a lot of things. Now, to get a little bit more tech savvy with it, a lot of people aren't going to understand this. The CPU is based on the 3rd generation of the Ryzen line. It's going to contain 8 cores. It's going to have Zen 2 microarchitecture as well, which is actually more of a new thing with AMD. The GPU will be a custom variant of the Radeon Navi family. It's going to support the ray tracing, which basically models the travel of light to simulate complex interactions in 3D environments. Games look a lot better with it. They perform a lot better, all kinds of different stuff. So really, they've made a lot of technical improvements with the PlayStation 5, which we all kind of expected. It's been, 6 years since the PlayStation 4 came out. Technology has progressed quite a bit since then, obviously. I mean, technology improves every year, basically, but on top of that, it seems like they're kind of listening to the whole backwards compatibility crowd, because obviously they didn't really do very well with the PS4. I still think that there's room to improve. Of course, there will be more details and stuff that come out in the coming months, and up until they actually really release it. There's a lot of things that can change. Hopefully they do make it basically a fully backwards compatible console, but at the same time, you never know, guys. We'll see any more details that come out about the PlayStation 5. Obviously, I'm going to be your number one source to report these kinds of things going forward. If any more details come out about the PlayStation 5, any future Xbox, any Nintendo console, you can bet your sweet cheeks that I will have a video up here on the channel. I'm pretty excited about these details. I think there's a lot of great information in here that we can really look at and be like, hey, looks like we're going to be getting a good product from Sony. So that is going to be it for this video, though, you guys. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new around here on my channel. Follow me over on Twitter at @SupToOptimus. I post memes, thoughts, and updates over there. Surefire way to get notifications of all my newest content. Join the Discord down below. Lots of great things going on down there as well, guys. Let me know what you think about these PlayStation 5 specs, details, info, things like that down below. I would love to know what you guys have to say about this. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, looking at the details for that first PlayStation 5 release coming soon, folks, and signing out.